So we're going to start by talking about this. I like to put books up to my nose. I can't relate to desperation. I give a fuck. Our own vacation. And I got this boy, and he won't stop calling. When I act this way, I know what time. Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to do something about like Gen Z. I think it's going to be called something along the lines of what the fuck happened to white people. So just some quick headlines. So Tulsi Gabbard resigned, and it's because her husband has bone cancer, and the chances of getting bone cancer are like 1 in a billion or something. Much more likely that somebody gave him bone cancer. If you know, you know. Sort of like the Lindbergh baby mysteriously went out the window. No one knows who did that. So we have this weird. Have you noticed on social media? There's like no content. Everything's like dead. I was all scrolling, like doom scrolling, and the usual suspects like Zero Hedge, and there's nothing really interesting about the markets. Everybody knows the bond market's falling apart. Substack is sort of like we all can feel like we're in this pause, but it's probably better than 50% chance that the war will resume with Iran this weekend. Trump didn't go to his kid's wedding, blah, blah, blah. And Tulsi left, 48 hours before it's going to begin. Now, our friend Alon Mizrahi has argued that this is all just, they had to move all the pieces in place for the next wave of the war. And that Israel never backs down. Israel only knows to escalate. And Israel it's sort of common knowledge. We all know that Trump is controlled by Israel. Like, it's not even edgy anymore. It used to be like, ooh, real like conspiratorial and maybe anti-Semitic. Now we just don't even give a shit anymore. So, that would push oil prices up again on the ocean up to, $200 a barrel, $250, which really means there's a lot of places that won't have access to oil. Now, if you look here in the States, you know how this is part of the white people problem. Because Trump comes on and says, we are selling oil and gas to the rest of the world. Who's we? There's not a we. Trump isn't going to send your mom a check because we sold oil and gas to Asia and Europe. You get the joke? But white people, oh yeah, this is our oil. It's unbelievable. We're doing deals. We're moving oil. We have oil. We have all the oil producing oil. They're taking the oil away from North America, which means the price of oil and gas is going to go up here, and diesel fuel and so forth. And I think we're down. This week was the biggest drop in oil inventories ever. This is not whiskey, by the way. It's iced tea. So, there's not really a lot to talk about. Like, if you sort of know what this is all about and what's going on, it's somewhat obvious how these things are taking place. But let's go back to crypto for a minute. Let's go back to blockchain and let's go back to AI. There's a really interesting video by Nate on Substack. Now, I discovered Nate, whose handle is Nate, on TikTok. And it's a little bit long, but you might, if you like these things, you might have an interest in it. He talked about Grok, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, which is Anthropic, and then I think it was 4 or 5 groups, and they made like a town. They did like a Sims thing, that video game. They were like, you build a town, and they made like 10 agents in each town. And I think the Claude one went perfect. It was like, like a nice town in Vermont or something. And then there was another one, I think it was Grok, and they made a couple that turned into Macbeth and Lady Macbeth and burnt the whole fucking place down or something. It's hilarious. But just if you want to take a look at it, just the first couple of minutes, it's interesting to hear about how these things go off the rails, because if you haven't learned anything about AI, is it's all probabilistic and it doesn't have any value judgments because it doesn't have anything to base those value judgments on, any existential, philosophical. So speak of the devil, pun intended, the Pope is coming out with, I don't know if it's an encyclical, coming out with some major statement about AI on Monday. And we'll have a piece for you about that. Now, just to remind you, I did a piece called Trump and Pope just because I saw that they picked an American Pope, and I was like, Rome is going right at Washington, D.C. And that has turned out. And then, again, I'm repeating myself. You've heard me before. Peter Thiel flies to Rome, flies to the Vatican, gives a speech on the Antichrist. And it's a real philosophical and or theological reason why Peter Thiel created Palantir. The hat's right there. I always like to show we're not a card carrying member, but a hat wearing member of the greater Palantir community. That was irony, of course. He got infatuated with some sort of existential French philosopher who's a Catholic, which is sort of weird. But on the subject of technology and human thought as mimetic, that everything we do is we're copying someone else. Everything is jealousy. Everything is like this song. She's making fun of the fact that she's sort of trapped this boy because he was getting over somebody and they probably slept together, and now I have him wrapped around my finger, kind of a thing. So let's do a musical interlude. It's cute. I brought you coffee. Clearly they slept together. I made you coffee and now you're brand new because you're over your girlfriend. Anyways, see how I pull these things together for you on a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon. But the Peter Thiel thing is a really deep, weird. I'd characterize Peter Thiel as very similar to one of the great villains in Shakespeare, like Iago or Lady Macbeth, or I don't know, Claudius. When someone goes off the rails, or Edmund, the bastard in King Lear. That's a really good one to think about. If you don't know that, there's a really good King Lear with Anthony Hopkins in it. So I want to go back to this, just let's all settle down. And in the last couple of minutes, I'll make this short because I've been making a lot of content, maybe a little too much. And I'm happy to have some feedback on that. Do you guys want more content? Do you want less content? I talked to my daughter about doing more written content. I can just run at the mouth ad nauseum, as you guys know. It's just easy for me. I can take in a whole bunch of shit and just give it back to you in 15 minutes. Where it'd probably take me an hour and 15 minutes to publish something. But I want to show you this book again. I bought this book for my daughter, not so much to make her an Ethereum freak, but because it's written by this young woman named Camila Russo. And she worked for Chile's largest newspaper. And she has a Master's of Science from Northwestern University, School of Journalism, and a bachelor's degree from the Pontificia Universidad Catholic de Chile. She lives in New York City, but she also worked for Bloomberg News. She was a Bloomberg. That's like a really hard position to get as a journalist. But here she is. She's cute too. Um, but I want you to just look at the cover. And as soon as I say Ethereum and crypto, your brain instantly goes into the financial system. It's an alternative currency. The dollar is going to collapse, all that stuff. And then for me, I've emphasized that Bloomberg. I've emphasized that blockchain is going to run through the banking system because I read that in a Federal Reserve document published in 2016. And when I started doing content, all the other content people were like, no, crypto is this alternative thing over here. No one, why am I doing Trump? Sorry. Looked at it very strongly. Um, Crypto was like this underground thing that was going to be out of the banking system, and we were just going to be revolutionaries and do everything. And then it's just from a regulatory standpoint, it just has no reality whatsoever. You're going to go to jail. It's like, sorry, I read something or watched some video about a prepper guy, and his neighbor was like a special forces guy from Vietnam or something. He had all his shit laid out and like his water pellets and his guns and his knives. And he called his friend over and he said, "What do you think of my stuff? Like, I've been, putting this together." And he's like, "You're going to die." Anyways. All right, back to this. So I know it's backwards. So I'm going to read the subtitle to you. And I think this is a very subtle and deep understanding of blockchain that is frequently missed. And now we're in a kind of a new, brave new world of the AI thing being dovetailed into blockchain. As we are here at Bruno explaining to you, you can go study that. It's called Chain Opera. And last year I went to Caltech and they said blockchain and AI are going to be the same thing. And here's why. Like, your mom can understand this. Look at the subtitle, The Infinite Machine. We'll get to that in a minute. How an army of crypto hackers is building the next internet with Ethereum. They're not just building some sort of alternative financial coin thing. They're building the next internet. And if you've been taking a few minutes of your life and reading these pieces that I'm putting up by this guy named the Black Swan, whatever, he's explaining to you that these big tech companies, the Mag 7 and the things that drive the NASDAQ and drive the stock market, they're in desperation to maintain their pretty much monopolies of control of the internet. Now, if I just say the internet, everybody sort of intuitively knows what the internet is. We don't have to get into blockchain and the details of how all this shit works. We know that there's some sort of mass communication system that everything runs on. And what Vitalik Buterin didn't like sit down and go, "Oh, they made a Bitcoin and I'm going to make a better Bitcoin." Quite the contrary. It was, they wanted to make a ubiquitous open source. Anybody can use it for whatever they want. There's a thing called Sheepcoin. Sheepcoin? Sheep chain, I think it's called. There's one called cattle chain. Like, they literally do cattle genetics on blockchain, and I think it runs on Ethereum. And they build it because they originally, Vitalik was working for this group. I forget the name. He was a journalist too. He worked for Bitcoin Magazine, I think. And then he was hired by some company like Mercury or something like that to actually rewrite the code to see if the Bitcoin system could be used to carry other data like cattle genetics. And he wrote a white paper, delivered it to the Bitcoin community on Reddit, and said, it's not built for that. It can't carry the data. So if you have somebody like younger, older, probably younger, who's sort of like into crypto and blockchain, doesn't really know where to go, like, this is the book here. It's also like a nice little drama. It tells how Vitalik fired the CEO, Charles Hoskinson, who went on to make Cardano. I got the idea for the name Bruno because of Cardano. But they're not just building a new financial system. It's already published. It's already like on Bloomberg that the Swift banking system is going to run on Ethereum. About 10 years after it was founded, Swift, if you know banking, you know what I'm talking about. It's the whole thing. It's the reason they can turn off Iran's banking accounts or Moscow's banking accounts in Switzerland and just go beep, which also tells you how the world really works. Donald Trump doesn't really have all the levers of power. It's a different thing, but nobody wants to talk about it, so let's all calm down. But they're building a new internet now. So if you put this idea together with like Nate talking about how they built 5 or 6 towns with AI agents, because it sounds exactly like Bruno, doesn't it? Because I've been on here like, yeah, you can use these like decentralized systems like locally, like in your area code. And I know you all go, what the fuck is he so fixated on these area codes for? Well, go listen to Nate and you'll go, oh, I see what he's trying to do. Because the Palantir, Oracle, Larry Ellison, Zionist, it is Zionist. It's like, it's a quasi theological freak show that they're trying to sell to us, that they're going to conjure up this kind of God. Tim Dillon called it, rightly so, brilliant analysis. He called it a demon. I saw this morning that most of the data centers are getting names from the Bible, names of demons, because they have a sense of humor. Great, Bruno. As most of you know, my name's James, not Bruno. All right. A little more Sabrina. Oh, I get it now. I never understood the name. You can't sleep because of me. It's like espresso. I get it now. Takes me a while. It's cute. So tomorrow we'll talk about the absolute nihilism that has taken over white people. But in the meantime, how not to go down the Dantean circle of hell of nihilism is to act, to do, to be an agent in the philosophical way. And the fact that they're calling these technical things agents, and then people like Nate are running. No, he didn't run them. He's talking about another group. Was it I forget. You can go see it yourself. But they created these agents and like let them go autonomous. And I think that's a very flawed way to look at it. I'm not for or against Nate. I think he's a great guy, and I think he does really good content. What I'm saying, there's a really deep philosophical question here, and that is, do we do the technology, or is the technology going to do us? And they're going to burn up like the surplus energy and ruin the water supply and burn through $1 trillion worth of. Remember, NVIDIA are just gaming chips. Google does not use gaming chips. Apple does not use gaming chips. I did the thing. I went to the Apple store. There's a $4,000 big aluminum, because that dissipates the heat, and they're light and tough. The things I've read about the M5 Max, or I think that's the name of it, like you could run like a medium-sized bank on it, like a bank, like database. It would need storage things to pull from. And let me just wind down by saying this. Where the internet is going, they're building a new internet, people. The blockchain and AI people are building a new internet. They're not building a giant video game of towns and agents that fall in love and burn down the city, like Macbeth and Lady Macbeth killing the king and taking things over and then killing everybody. It's very similar, by the way. It's funny. They're building a new internet, and the new internet will be unplugged from Palantir, from Oracle, from the data centers, from Google. Probably eventually we'll realize we can't rely on the Apple technology either. Oh, speaking of bone cancer, it was sort of weird when Steve Jobs got liver cancer, wasn't it? Sort of a unusual thing for a healthy guy to get. I think he was a vegetarian. I mean, the statistics of liver cancer are very, 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 very low, especially if you don't if you're not an alcoholic or abuse drugs or something like that. You know, here at Bruno, we don't like conspiracies. We love them, but Steve Jobs would never have gone along with this shit. Like, nobody could corral Steve Jobs. I mean, he was just the lone wolf of technology. He was also an asshole, and people who knew him well, he was a horrible person to be around. But I think they had to get rid of him. I don't know, maybe you have a different. So there's right now, there's an Israeli technology reading my eyeballs as I talk. So it's just like you're, with a friend or having coffee or at a bar, looking at someone to go out on a date with or go home with or whatever. What do? You just read their eyes, right? As they talk, you can see their inflections, their little, right? And I guess there's people that are trained to do this in a remarkable way. And that's now built into our tech. I don't think Steve Jobs would have gone along with that. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody has some knowledge that I don't. I'm all ears. So now what? So I'm giving you a little bit of the State of the Union. Okay, we're in contact with a company that does some things in finance and warranties and so forth, and they've already built their system this way. All their data is off the cloud. This is the thing, people. You're going to get off the cloud. I can remember talking to friends of mine who were in robotics 20 years ago, and AWS came out. And you understand that every internet-based business had to do business with AWS, the cloud. There were other things you could go to, but if you wanted something to scale from 100,000 to 100 million or 100 billion, you had to use AWS pretty much. And we all sort of know now that AWS is Amazon Web Services. We all sort of know that DARPA or somebody built that and gave it to Jeff Bezos. And it was sort of weird that Jeff Bezos' grandfather started DARPA. But again, let's all calm down. So again, I keep doing this. I really want, because this isn't a hard thing to understand at all. They're building a new internet, people. Palantir and Jonathan Greenblatt want everybody on the internet so they can keep track of us and read our eyeballs and then blow up our phones in our pocket and blow our balls off like they did in Lebanon. Jonathan Greenblatt said that, the head of the ADL. If you're new here, you may not get the joke that wasn't just like a Nick Fuentes anti-Semitism thing. That was there's a moral, theological problem there, which I've spent a lot of time on Sundays talking about. We need to train the AI. Go check out Chain Opera. It's just the architecture we're going to use. I've been talking about the same thing for 5 years. We're going to have nodes and area codes, and people are like, what? What do you mean nodes and area? And it's all the same thing. So what Chain Opera did is they took the concepts of blockchain and AI and put them together. Now, I know you're wondering how you get invited to this party. Consider yourself invited. And what I'm going to do, what I'm really committed to, is I want to build a system that has a level that's free. The same applies to Substack. that's free, that's very inexpensive, sort of like an intern kind of a thing, like maybe $1,000. And then we train you and like we give you all this stuff in return for $1,000. Finance, blockchain, AI, everything we can throw at you. And we'll do this through the Chain Opera prompt system, the kind of chat GPT looking box like we all have at Google Gemini. Manus has a little prompt box. Chain Opera has a little prompt box. And then for the partners and founders, we're going to have agents and master agents that sort of sit on top of that and not just glean the data like Facebook so that we can manipulate you or sell it or whatever, is to watch how you use the system so that we can better react to it. Now, there's one piece of technology that I don't understand, and the new company I'm in touch with, I asked them this Friday at 4:00. I was like, I don't understand how the data goes back and forth. How do I have a little box in the corner? But that has to be up. For example, we're going to do real estate or cattle or something. And it has to be updated with the new price of corn, the new price of cattle, the new price of real estate, etc. Maybe once a month. How do we expose that to the data and not have that exposed to the internet? I don't know that. I'm not a tech guy. But that's the whole question, people. This is sort of what's your Roman Empire? Like, how are you going to exist as the Roman Empire falls? Because it's fucking falling apart. Like, there's no question about it. Like, what are we going to do? Like, Elizabeth Warren isn't coming to save us. We've done enough content on that now. Like, it's all bullshit, people. I think even Bernie Sanders was bullshit, just like Obama was bullshit. Trump's bullshit. They're all bullshit. The three people that are not bullshit. MTG is on a beach with her boyfriend in Costa Rica. Massey just got massacred in Tennessee by $27 million. And now Tulsi Gabbard's husband has bone cancer. Imagine that. I don't know. If my BMW motorcycle goes off a bridge, it may have been a gust of wind, may have been something else. So, but let's not be creepy. Let's listen to Sabrina. She's cute. I'm working late because I'm a sinner. So tomorrow we're going to do What Happened to White People. It'll be a slightly irreverent kind of a thing. The one thing you can always say about America, almost all Americans have this in common, is, I guess if you had to give a quote, to be Abraham Lincoln, democracy is the last best hope for humanity. Like, if you're a committed Catholic, and particularly whenever you hear that, you should wince. It's like, no, you're not allowed to say that. But Americans think that our way is the best way, and everybody else is sort of backward, or women have to cover their heads and other silly shit. And if you turn on the television, you hear Rubio. It doesn't matter when you turn on the television in the last 30 or 40 years. Democracy is like a theocracy. It's like a carrion call. Do I want to say that? Like some sort of like thing that we can do to Cuba and Venezuela and Iran, whatever the fuck we want, because we're a democracy and they're not. And our children are in real peril because of it. Like existential, like moral nihilism, economic nihilism. And I'll finish with, if you've never heard it, take a minute and go read Corinthians, a letter of Paul to the Corinthians, on It's something you hear a good bit on Substack or on social media. Paul to the Corinthians, principalities. A lot of the content you're hearing from like Heather Lynn, who I've been talking about, that are or Tim Dillon, just talking about like technology and demonic. Um, okay, Gemini, I don't want your interpretation. I want the quote. It's a very creepy quote. It's almost like not even. Sorry, this is sort of being stubborn. So, in the ancient world, to talk about the divine world or the underworld and our world was just a given. There was no, like, what? Like, it wasn't considered superstitious at all. Our world, where we only believe in like materialism and like physics 101 with like atoms, there's no atoms. There's no like balls that like float around and make up the universe. They just draw it that way in the textbook because nobody really knows what the fucking atom is. Nobody knows what an electron is. It's not a volleyball. Our brains just like to see like little balls, like in little pictures. Anyways, and actually, if you really go deep in physics and quantum and Bruno, the real Bruno, not me, but the guy up there, this was his world. He was like in this weird semi-quantum, multiple universes existing at the same time. I mean, I think even Einstein said that like the universe is spooky. Electrons talk to each other across the universe and stuff. It's like it's more like Paul's weird divine, demonic, it's all mixed together. And we've lost that, right? We're enlightened and we're a democracy and we've grown out of all that. And then the people in physics are like, we really have no idea how this works. They really don't. I'd encourage. There's a really good guy on Substack called shit, Meta something of the mind, and it talks about things purely in the world of like quantum and physics. But it sounds very much. I'll have a quote tomorrow just to make sure we get it right. But it sounds like you're reading like spiritualist mysticism from like the Middle Ages and so forth. Okay. Okay. Can I have the quote? The quotes from the Bible. Here's the one you hear pretty frequently in like evangelical communities or like post evangelical communities where the people have left a kind of Joel Osteen world and they look back on the evangelical world. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. I know that's pretty heavy duty. That's a lot to take in. So we're going to do it on Sunday because on Saturdays we like to play Sabrina Carpenter and chill out a little bit. So what should we finish with? So let's just finish with what it would look like if there were 5,000 people using the prompts, the agents, the master agents all over America operating like not just a new internet, but like a whole new economic infrastructure. Primarily financial, but finance isn't just for speculation, contrary to what CNBC says. It's actually to build the stuff we need: houses, healthcare, cattle. Nobody on CNBC talks about any of that, do they? So, conveniently, a legion is about 5,000 people. So this is Bruno's legion. Thank you, Darnell. Neither height nor depth nor another principality can separate you from the love of God. Yep. Giordano Bruno. Yep. What's the story behind Prometheus saying the Bank of London is behind Iran, that a British government or group from there are controlling the oil market and Trump is trying to break that up? Okay. I thought we were just going to groove out, but I guess we have to work for a living. So you frequently hear me say things like this. Is this Trump or is this some sort of Illuminati Mrs. Rothschild thing? When I say Mrs. Rothschild, I sort of mean like the City of London, I think it's both. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to cop out on the thing. If the people that control the world's banking system didn't want Trump to blow up the Gulf states, they wouldn't have been blown up. They would have blown up Trump. No question about it. When Lincoln was assassinated, the Chancellor of Germany, Bismarck, blamed the assassination. You can go look it up and see the quote on European bankers. So they know what's coming, right? They know $250 oil. Now think about this. I think Mrs. Rothschild, so to speak, came to North America. I published it. It was in the Financial Times. They got thrown out of Russia. Now last week, 1,000 drones in one night hit Russia. So now they're here and they get this asshole reality TV star. I just watched the WWE thing whenever he tackles the guy from I mean, he's a fucking clown. Everybody gets all worked up about Trump. He's a reality TV star. It's like getting upset about the two guys fighting in the ring at WWE. There's a thing behind all this that's making this all happen. And now we're going to export all the oil and gas to the rest of the world. And they're going to burn through all the fucking excess natural gas with these literally jet engines, spinning generators, making electricity for game chips made by NVIDIA to build a giant surveillance system. Brilliant. Do you think Trump came up with all that? Silly Wabbit, what's going on? I like this part. All right, tomorrow is like, what the fuck happened to white people? Injun, good to see you. Let me go out with this. As you can see by his icon, Injun Rakichu is not a white people. He is an African American people. And the things I'm going to talk about tomorrow are very specific to white European people. There's a nihilism there that doesn't apply to Hispanics, black people, Indians, mixed race, Asians. It's specific to white people. So we're going to hit that tomorrow. All right, see you tomorrow.